أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. Welcome to another Quran study, brothers and sisters. God willing, we will be reading from chapter 7, verse 176. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Had we willed, we could have elevated him therewith. But he insisted on sticking to the ground and pursued his own opinions. Thus, he is like the dog. Whether you pet him or scold him, he pants. Such is the example of people who reject our proofs. Narrate these narrations that they may reflect. Bad indeed is the example of people who reject our proofs. It is only their own souls that they wrong. So God is giving here an example of a person whom God has given evidences, right? He has received a message um, that God has sent, but despite the proofs and the evidences, this person is making his own opinion, his God. He's um, he's not accepting the truth, and God says that he is like. It doesn't matter what you do with him. Like either you give him the information or not. Like he is not going to listen. Um, so what we see here is also something that um, uh, when God sends messenger, he gives them these miracles, right? Like to show these people that this message is truly from God. Like in the Quran, for example, God has sent this book, but He sent it in a way with mathematical evidence, right? So that the ones who are reading this book can be definitely sure that this is indeed from God. Like you have this evidence in front of you. It's a physical evidence. It's not just hearsay, right? It's not an opinion of someone who claims that he is the messenger and says, "Listen, this is the words of God." It's not a claim. It's not just his opinion. So when you receive something like this with evidence, a proof, and still you insist on not believing in it, yeah, then there is no logic behind it, right? Because why would you not accept something which has evidence, right? It's not an opinion, it's a fact. For example, if you would tell someone, listen, 2 + 2 is 4, and that person still, after all these evidences or seeing these facts, if that person still doesn't accept it, then he or she wronged his own soul. And God says that those people are destined for hell because you know they don't accept the message even after seeing all these evidences. Whomever God guides is the truly guided one, and whomever he commits to straying, these are the losers. We can see it like in the Quran, also in many other verses where God says that, these people who are not guided, they are not guided because they don't deserve to be guided. Because God knows their true intentions. God knows exactly who deserves to be guided and who deserves not to be guided. And what is the point of sending a messenger, sending a message, showing evidences, showing proof and miracles to people whom God already knows that they don't um, deserve to go to heaven, right? God already knows. And in the Quran, there is a verse where God says that, like, even if God would send these people 1,000 times back to this earth, they still are going to do idol worship and they still going to end up in hell because when they are going to die they will say, please God, send us back to the world. We are going to do we are going to believe in you, in your messages, in the messengers that you have sent. We are going to believe in them. That is what they are going to say. But God says that even if he would send them 1,000 times over and over again, eventually they are going to end up in hell because that's not going to change. If there was any possibility that one person deserved to go to heaven, then of course God would never send that person to hell. God would never send that person to hell because God knows exactly what's going to happen in the future. So and one of the ways that the how God system works is that God is preventing all excuses, right? He is sending messengers, miracles, he gives examples. Um, like all these things are being done to make sure that they won't have any excuses. These people, they can then say, yeah, but if you would have sent us to the world again, or like if you would have done this, then we would have believed in the messengers. So what in God's system in this case, he is doing everything, or he did everything actually, to prevent all these souls from having an excuse uh, not to go to hell. 179. Satan hypnotizes his constituents. We have committed to hell multitudes of jinns and humans. They have minds with which they do not understand, eyes with which they do not see, and ears with which they do not hear. They are like animals. No, they are far worse. They are totally unaware. Yes, again, in this example, we see God is giving examples of, like, he is pointing out a logical thing, right? They have their eyes, but they're not using it. They have their hands. Like, God has given them the minds to think with, and still they are not using it. And God says they are like animals, and even worse. So, when you look at the animal world, you can see there's so many examples, right? For example, we have ants, we have calves, sheep. Like, we have so many. God created so many animals, and in the Quran, God says that they are doing. Of course, we can see that, but they are prostrating, they are submitting to God. Actually, all these animals and these people, with everything that God has given to them, they still are not submitting to the will of God, and they are not using their, the minds that God has given to them, the ability to think, to compare, right, and then to try to understand if this is truly from God. Especially in our time, right? We have, like, the computers now, we have AI, we have so many things that people can use. And try to find what is truly from God. Someone can go on the internet or use AI and ask questions about, for example, the Quran. You don't have to spend weeks or months. You can, even within a few hours, you can get so many information. Anything that you would ask, it would give most of the answer, right? Like, you can ask about, for example, many people, they think that, especially after so long of propaganda that is done towards Islam, right, towards the Quran, people think that there are very bad things written in the Quran. But like, you don't have to be a scholar, or you don't have to go and study for years to see what is in the Quran. You can just ask AI. I saw a few weeks ago a guy who was reading the Quran online. He was showing, like, every minute that he was reading the Quran, he was doing this live, and, like, it didn't really take a lot of time. If I'm not mistaken, it was like in total 24 hours or something like that, 26 hours, I believe. And then he started reading it, even with a slow pace. He didn't do it very fastly, right? He tried to understand these verses, and he also talked meanwhile, and then told the people who were listening to him live what he thought about all these verses. And, like, one of the things that he saw was, and he did also the same thing with the Bible. And one of the things he saw was, he said, yeah, like, if you read the Bible, you can clearly understand that Jesus is not God. He is just sent by God, and he is, he prays to God, so he can't. He himself is not God. And this is something that he had done only by reading the Bible, in a normal pace, a slow pace, trying to understand all these things, and did the same thing with the Quran. And his whole point of view changed about the Quran. So this means that if someone is truthful, if someone really wants to understand and know the truth, they, specifically in this time, they can't have an excuse, right? God would say to them, you had internet, you had, like, the Quran was everywhere online. You can download an app, you can download the Qurans, you can go into the internet, use AI. Like, you can even ask questions to so many people, like, you can communicate with a lot of people. On YouTube, you can watch videos, I think, like, or you can debate people about, the Quran. So this means that there won't be any excuse for the ones who are going to say, yeah, we didn't know. Like, how come you didn't know? It's all over the place. And Islam is actually also one of the things that is very it's a topic that has been discussed for the last 20, 30, maybe 50 years on the TV. And because, of course, of all these propagandas, so people can't say that they didn't hear anything about it, right? And there are also a lot of examples of people who, after hearing about it, they do some research and then especially when they look only at the Quran, they would see. Um, the true Islam, right? And if they won't end up going to a Sunni mosque or going to, look at all these hadiths, etc. If they would only look at the Quran, they would easily see that this is the truth. So no excuses at all. But the title of this verse is Satan hypnotizes his constituents, right? So what he does is, he has all these tricks. And in the Quran, it says like, I'm gonna come towards them from their right, from their left, from in front of them, from behind them, and like we shouldn't um, like we need to be careful. We need to be very careful. Like he is very tricky, like we shouldn't let our guards, we should be all the time on our guards, trying to stay in God's kingdom so that we are protected from the devil. To God belongs the most beautiful names. Call upon him therewith, and disregard those who distort his names. They will be requited for their sins. Here, of course, the most beautiful names belong to God, and God has many names and many qualities, right? And one of the most important qualities, of course, that God is running everything. But God says that we need to call upon him with these beautiful names. For example, that he is the most merciful, right? He is all-knowing, he is just, and that he is the one who provides. He is he's all-knowing. So we need to do that all the time, actually, and we need to find excuses to use these names. For example, if we see something very beautiful, we need to remember, of course, that God has created that beautiful thing. And for example, if we need to eat or we need some provisions, and then like we need to call upon God and ask for provisions, we need to ask for health, we need to ask for forgiveness, because this is a command of God. We need to do that. Among our creations, there are those who guide with the truth, and the truth renders them righteous. As for those who reject our revelations, we lead them on without them even realizing it. So it has all to do with if someone, what someone deserves, right? And so if you deserve to go to hell, then you are going to be guided towards hell. Like the doors are fully open for you. If you don't follow, like if you reject all these evidences, the messengers, the books that God has sent, the information that God has sent, the miracles that is quite here, it's physical, especially right now, then of course you will end up in hell. So, if someone is if someone really wants to know the truth, that person would, do things to do things to go after that truth, right? And if that person is doing that, then God is going to guide that person towards the truth. He's going to show the evidence, show the miracle. And I can say like we are also examples of that, right? For example, my own situation, I lived in a Sunni family. I went to a Sunni mosque, and everything that we have learned about Islam, it came from the mosque and came from that Sunni religion. But there was this very important moment in my life where I wanted to know why we had so many differences, why things were not that clear, while God says that it's very clear, right? He says that our religion is extremely clear. Everything is in this book. And how come that there are so many differences? Like even with the in the time of the Ramadan, that was one of the things that I really find still funny, that people can't, start the Ramadan on the same day and end on the same day. It's really funny actually, because the month of Ramadan doesn't start with someone's opinion. It's like a physical thing. Like if I would say tomorrow the sun is going up at 7 o'clock, it's not my opinion. It's something calculated. It can be seen by so many people, right? And then we don't have to see it. We can calculate it. We know exactly where the sun is located. We know exactly where the moon is located. We know that they have their own orbit. So with that, we know the speed, the speed of it. So you can easily calculate exactly which day the Ramadan starts. And of course, the prayers, and God says this in the Quran. He says that the moon and the sun, there is a specific reason why He created them, and He tells us that we use those things to do our calculations. But still, with so clear information, even in 2025, like, can you imagine? We have AI, like, we are so far with technology, with calculations. It's extremely easy to do those things, right? We have like so much technology that even today, if you're still not going to start your Ramadan on the right day and in the right day, then there is definitely something wrong with you. But it has also to do with the fact that those people don't deserve to start on the right time and don't deserve to end on the right time, because following God's commandments in the right way is also something that you need to deserve, right? It's a blessing from God. Like praying 5 times a day is a blessing from God, and doing the Ramadan is a blessing from God. And if you don't do it on the right way, then you didn't deserve to do it. Like God, because if you would have deserved it, then God would have given you the opportunity, or He would have made you, give you the ways of doing it in the correct way, right? So, for example, the 5 times prayers, these are like huge meals for our souls. So, and if you don't deserve to have these meals, yeah, then it's your own fault. You didn't deserve it. So, and that makes it your and mostly it's because of the ego, of course, right? And we need to kill our egos to be able to come closer to God, to stay in God's kingdom. But most people, of course, don't know. And God says in 183, I will even encourage them. My scheming is formidable. So if you deserve to not to be guided, if you want to go astray, if you want to go towards the devil's kingdom, if you want to stay there, yeah, then you're gonna have that. If you want to be guided truly, then you're going to be guided. If you don't want to be guided, then you're not going to be guided. It's actually very simple, the system of God, how He created it, right, in this world. Because there's a reason why we came here. This is our last chance to redeem ourselves. When God asked if we would accept to be animals, for example, we didn't want it. We didn't want that. We didn't take our chance. But like all these animals, the creatures that God has created, they were actually smart. They were much smarter than us, and they accepted it. They said, okay, no worries. I can be a horse or a dog or a cat, or like an insect. I don't mind to die if someone steps on me and I was an insect. Like, they don't mind. If we are going to be saved after that, it was a very smart move. So, but still, there were so many souls that of course not in the majority, but those souls accepted to go with the test, thinking that it's going to be easy. But we underestimated the devil, of course, and then ended up here. But God willing, if we be patient, and being patient is also very important, right? Being patient with hardship, with everything that we are doing, and then keep on doing our best, keep on doing the best thing that we can do, follow the commandments of God, and eventually and hopefully be redeemed. God says, why do they not reflect upon their friend, the messenger? He is not crazy. He is simply a profound warner. Have they not looked at the dominion of the heavens and the earth and all the things God has created? Does it ever occur to them that the end of their life may be near? Which hadith beside this do they believe in? A very important verse where God reminds us that the only hadith that we need to follow is, of course, the Quran, because God says that the Quran is ahsan al hadith, the best hadith. That is, and hadith eventually, the one of the meanings is these are like words. Which other words than this book do they believe in? And the Quran is the best hadith. The Quran are the best words because the Quran is the word of God. So, and God tells us to follow only the Quran and not other hadith. And there is, of course, a reason why the Messenger of the Covenant, when he translated this verse, he kept the Arabic word, like he says hadith, right? Because hadith is not an English word; it's still Arabic. But to show, of course, the true meaning of this verse, because a lot of people, when reading this verse in their own language, the translators, they use like which other words or they use something else, but when you read it in this way, how it's been translated by God, of course, and God has chosen to translate this, um, and keep the word hadith in it, um, because today's biggest problem in the Islamic world is that people don't follow the Quran alone; they follow other sources besides the Quran, and those are specifically hadith and the sunnah, right? So this is a good example of why God also sent a translation, right? He could have chosen not to do, but we have an English translation, and um, today's English is one of the most used languages, and it's also easy, right? Like, so I even find that sometimes when I compare reading the Quran in Dutch with English, definitely English is a much easier language to understand. And God, he says, they not looked at the dominion of the heavens and the earth and all the things God has created. And of course, like there are so many things that God has created. And today we have the James Webb Telescope, for example, that humans sent into space and taking pictures of, so far galaxies, etc. So we can see a lot of things outside of the world, but also so many creatures that God has created, so many things that He created, also in very deep oceans, right? Like we have these machines that can go very deep under the sea and then see those extraordinary fish and creatures that God has created. And I saw some of them which have, like, they have light. They shine light. So it's very amazing, right? And for many long years, the humans on this world never saw these things. It's for the first time that we humans have seen these creatures, because before people couldn't dive in that deep, right? So right now it's possible, and like there are so amazing creatures that God has created. It's like from a movie, from this alien movies. You can see all these amazing creatures God created. And God encourages us to look at everything that He created and then think about it, right? The message also talks about it. For example, he says, when you eat the apple, just don't eat it. Don't eat it like that. Think about the color, the taste, right? The smell, how it became an apple, or the milk, right? When you drink milk, it has a color, it has a smell, it has this taste. So it didn't just appeared in front of us. There is a whole process that made milk milk or the apple apple. For an apple to be, for us to be able to eat this apple, it needs to grow, and then you have the seed, you put it on, it needs water, it needs sunlight, it needs so many things, and it also needs time, right? It needs to grow up, and then you have this amazing am I cut out? Oh, sorry. um Amazing things that God has created. 186. Whomever God commits to straying, there is no way for anyone to guide him. He leaves them in their sins blundering. They ask you about the end of the world, the hour, and when it will come to pass. Say, the knowledge thereof is with my Lord, only he reveals its time. Heavy it is in the heavens and the earth, it will not come to you except suddenly. They ask you as if you are in control thereof. Say, the knowledge thereof is with God, but most people do not know. And the footnote says, the right time to reveal this information was predestined to be 1980 AD through God's messenger of the covenant. See 1587 and 7227 and Appendix 11. The hour comes suddenly only to the disbelievers. See Appendix 11. There is a whole video where the messenger of the covenant explains this to us, right? He explains us where this information comes from and where it's written in the Quran, and it has all to do with the miracle of 19. So anyone who wants to look at that, look at these evidences, you can go internet and look at the video where the messenger in detail explains the end of the world. And one of his, one of the things as a messenger uh, was to reveal the time of the hour. Most of the people, when you would talk about this topic, they would say like only God knows the hour. In the Quran, God says that He's the one who only knows it, and even Prophet Muhammad didn't know about the hour. So they use this as an excuse, as not to believe in the message of the covenant, to say like, how can he know this? Even the Prophet didn't know this information. They think that that Prophet Muhammad should know all the information about everything. That's what they think, but that's not the case. Like, it doesn't matter if Muhammad didn't know something, right? For example, the miracle of 19, right? There is a verse in the Quran where God says that the prophet, he cannot. It's prohibited for him to add things to the Quran, of course, take things out, or to seal, to cover things up that he knows. Right, when he receives information from God, he needs to give this information to the people. He needs to tell them. He can't hide that information. So if he would have known the information about the miracle of 19, it was his, he then he was obligated to give this information. Also with the hour, right? If he would have known it, then it was his job to tell, but he didn't know because God didn't give the information at that time. It was meant for the time in 1980, and of course, because it is also related to the miracle of 19, right? One of the other important things in this verse is God says it will not come to you except suddenly, and of course this will come suddenly to the non-believers because they are not expecting it, right? But believers, they know it's going to happen. The same thing with, for example, Apophis, the asteroid that's going to hit the Earth in 2029, 13 April 2029. For most people, it's going to be suddenly, but for us, it's very clear that it's going to happen with all the evidences that we have, right? All the evidences that are also related to the mathematical miracle of the Quran, the 19. So we will be prepared for that scenario. But most people aren't, like, and even if you would tell them that it's going to happen, and even if you would show them the evidences, right, that you have, still it's going to come to them suddenly because they are not going to believe therein. They are not going to accept the evidences from God, but they will accept everything what NASA tells them. So it's going to be a huge shock for those people. And here it says like the knowledge thereof is with God, but most people do not know. Most people, they don't know, because they're blocked by their egos. They don't want to know, because if you really want to know the truth, God is not going to hide it from you. He's going to make sure that you receive the truth, right? And even like the thing is also that even if God gave you the evidence and show you the proofs and you have everything, actually no excuse not to believe in it, and you're still not believing in it yet, then yeah, then you're a very bad person actually. Like you are an enemy of God after all these things, right? After all these miracles that God has sent, and you're still not believing in it, that makes you a very bad person. 188. Messengers are powerless. They do not know the future. Say, I have no power to benefit myself or harm myself. Only what God wills happens to me. If I knew the future, I would have increased my wealth and no harm would have I afflicted me. I am no more than a warner and a bearer of good news for those who believe. So this is a good example of, a summary of what the job is of a messenger. So they don't know the truth except for the things that God has given them, right? About the truth. For example, the messenger of the covenant talks about this asteroid that's going to hit the earth. He didn't give an exact date because that information was not given to him, but the information that an asteroid is going to hit is given to him, and we can see this in the appendix, right? They are asking him, like, is this definitely going to happen? And he says yes, like this is going to happen. And we discussed this also in our studies. We didn't knew the date yet, but this is something that's definitely going to happen. And also the other thing that that the last verse, that is the last chapter that has been sent, is about most of the people in this world, that they're going to accept the religion of Islam. And they're asking Dr. Rashad if this is like his opinion or his wish that it will happen or not. But he says, no, this is something that definitely is going to happen. It's like within 30, maximum 50 years, and we still have 14 years left, right, for the 50 years to end. But that is definitely going to happen. So when God chooses his messengers, and then he gives them information about the future. And if he didn't give the information about the end of the world to Prophet Muhammad, then he can't know it, right? And he tells in the Quran that he doesn't know it, and the information is with God, and only with and God chooses to who he wants to give this information. One of the other things is, I have no power to benefit myself or harm myself. This is a very clear verse in the Quran, and still, like most of the Muslims, they believe that Muhammad is going to help them. They think that he's going to help them, and then he's going to take them out of hell, right? God is going to throw them into hell, and then Muhammad is going to save them from hell. That is what they think, and that's also the reason why they are idolizing Muhammad, because they think, okay, God, like, it's very strange actually, right? Like, it's a stupid idea. It's very stupid, because like, how can you think that God, the most merciful, the most gracious, the one who is in all power, he decides to send you to hell because you deserve it, and then a creature that God has created, a human being like one of us, is going to come, and then he's going to save you from God's wrath. Like, God is sending you to hell, but then he comes and he says, "Oh, this person, he put on clothes like me. He talked like me. He walked like me. Oh, don't harm him. Don't send him to hell." Right? Like, how is he more merciful than God? So yeah, that's a way of idolizing Muhammad. He says, only what God will happens to me. If I knew the future, I would have increased my wealth. One of the things that these people, like the hadith, there are so many hadiths about Prophet Muhammad saying things about the future, right? Saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, like so many hadiths. But when you look at the Quran, he says, this is his words, like, because the verse starts with say. So God commands the prophet to say that he doesn't know the future. And if I would knew the future, this is also something that he needs to say from God. Like I said, say to the people, if I knew the future, I would have increased my wealth and no harm would have afflicted me. It's a very clear verse to know that he truly didn't know the future. But there are verses in the Quran about the future. Like, for example, the war with the Rum, if I'm not mistaken, where God tells them that they're going to lose the war and then they're going to win again. That is something that happened after the Quran was revealed, and it really happened. That was something about the future. And many other things, of course. I am no more than a warner and the bearer of good news for those who believe. That was their job, right? To warn the people and then give good news to ones who would appreciate that. Let me check how much minutes. Oh, we're 35. Oh, I need to go a little bit faster. Our children can be idols. He created you from one person, Adam. Subsequently, he gave every man a mate to find. He gave every man a mate to find tranquility with her. She then carries a light load that she can hardly notice. As the load gets heavier, they implore God, their Lord, if you give us a good baby, we will be appreciative. But when he gives them a good baby, they turn his gift into an idol that revolves him. God be exalted far above any partnership. It is not a fact that they are idolizing idols who create nothing and are themselves created. Is it not a fact that they are idolizing idols who create nothing and are themselves created? So this example of people making their kids their idol, we can see that also in Surah Yasin, if I'm not mistaken, where you have this woman and man, and she's pregnant, and they're praying to God, asking for a healthy, good baby, and God give it to them, and they idolize that baby. And what does that mean, right? Um, a lot of people, they think idolizing is to bow down in front of a statue, right? That is what they think most of the time. Say, oh, I'm not an idol worshiper. I never bowed down before before a statue. I didn't bow down before the statue of Jesus, or like or the statues that the Hindus have. So they think that that's the only way of doing idol worship. But when you read the Quran, God gives examples of idolizing God. For example, one of the things is idolizing a baby, giving your attention more to the baby than to God. Like you're so obsessed with your kid that you forget about God, or you're so obsessed with money or with yourself or with you can also idolize clergymen. Like you follow what they say and you listen to them all the time, and everything that they prohibit for you, you accept it as that. And how they teach you how to do your prayers, you follow them, and then in this way you are idolizing those things. You can also idolize your ego, right, or your own opinion, like we read before, making your own opinion with all the evidences and information that you get from God, and still not accepting them is idolizing your own opinion. So in this specific example, where these people, is because they put more time and they were busy all the time with the baby, forgetting about God, so idolizing the baby. And God repeats, yeah, he said, is it not the fact that they are idolizing idols who create nothing and are themselves created? Like Jesus, for example. Jesus is created, but they still idolize him. And the same example we see with Abraham, right? He was asking them, like, what you created these things? You made them out of mud or whatever they made of it. They can't help themselves. How can they help you? Oh yeah, here, idols that can neither help them nor even help themselves, right? This is also a question that Abraham asked those people to bring some sense into them. But yeah, if you have like so many doctors, engineers, professors, you have so many smart people, when it comes to religion, they become like stiff and so dumb, and they stop thinking logically. You have so many Indian doctors, right? Or lawyers or engineers or people with high IQs. But when it comes to religion, they have these strange beliefs, and the reason is, of course, they follow their parents, right? They say we have found our parents doing these things, so when we follow them, we follow their footsteps. And God says, "What if your parents are wrong? What if it's really wrong? Are you still going to follow them?" When you invite them to the guidance, they do not follow you. Thus, it is the same for them whether you invite them or remain silent. The idols you invoke besides God are creatures like you. Go ahead and call upon them. Let them respond to you if you're right. Like call upon Jesus, right? See if Jesus is going to respond to you. And then you have these people say that, oh, Jesus came to them in their dreams and said something to them, not knowing it was actually the devil tricking them, right? So, but yeah, again, when you're an idol worshiper, it doesn't matter what your IQ level is. If you're not sincere, you're not going to be guided and you're going to be tricked by the devil. Do they have legs on which they walk? Do they have hands with which they defend themselves? Do they have eyes with which they see? Do they have ears with which they hear? Say, call upon your all idols and ask them to smite me without delay. Like this is very logical, right? God is, giving them the opportunity to use their minds to be logical. Like it's so strange. It's really, really strange. When you see so many people doing idol worship and idolizing things that are created by they themselves are created. God is my only Lord and Master, the one who revealed this scripture. He protects the righteous. As for the idols you set up beside him, they cannot help you, nor can they help themselves. When you invite them to the guidance, they do not hear, and you see them looking at you, but they do not see. You shall resort to pardon and advocate tolerance and disregard the ignorant. When the devil whispers to you any whisper, seek refuge in God. He is here, omniscient. Like these are all commandments of God, right? Like how do we need to behave? And eventually there will come a time when you give the message to a certain person and they just don't accept it, right? And then eventually you understand that they are deemed for hell and they cannot be saved. When you invite them to the guidance, they do not hear because they don't deserve it. And you see them looking at you, but they do not see. Yeah, so because it's a quality of the soul, right? Like if your soul is a good soul, it's a good if it's a good soul, then God is going to guide that soul, is going to show the truth, and then that soul is going to accept it. But if you're not accepting the message, like then you're not going to be guided. Those who are righteous, whenever the devil approaches them with an idea, they remember, whereupon they become seers. Yeah, so like many of us, right, we hear the whispers of the devil saying to us certain things that we need to do or not to do. But true believers, they understand that, right? We know that it's from the devil. That's why we also say, like, I seek refuge in God from Satan, the devil. Their brethren zealously entice them to go astray. If you do not produce a miracle that they demand, they say, why not ask for it? Say, I simply follow what is revealed to me from my Lord. These are enlightenment from your Lord and guidance and mercy for people who believe. So yeah, they have their own demands, right? They say, if you cannot fly, then I'm not going to believe. If God is not going to show himself to me, I'm not going to believe. If an angel will not come down to us and give us the information, we are not going to believe. Like, what is the difference of God sending a book, sending a messenger, giving this amazing miracle, the physical evidence, right? With you don't need to have an extreme high IQ to understand this, right? You need very basic similar very basic knowledge of mathematics. You need to be able to count, right? Maybe even not that, right? You can just think a little bit logically and to understand, okay, this miracle of 19, it's extremely amazing. This is like impossible for a human being to do. So, you could easily see the miracle, but yeah, again, it's the quality of the soul and not the brain. When the Quran is recited, you shall listen to it and take heed that you may attain mercy. You shall remember your Lord within yourself, publicly, privately, and quietly, day and night. Do not be unaware. In the footnote, it says, your God is whoever or whatever occupies your mind most of the day. This explains the fact that most of those who believe in God are destined for hell. See 12:106, 23:84 to 90, and Appendix 27. And the Message of the Covenant has a whole video talking about, God is doing everything and talking about who is your God. like the thing that occupies your mind most of the day, that is your God. So we need to, and one of the, if I'm not mistaken, this was in a voice recording, that you need to divide your day into like these entities, and then, for example, in 100 pieces, and you need to see, you need to make sure that at least 51%, if not more, uh, is being used to remember God and to, follow the commandments of God. And how can we do that? Like the message of the covenant, he explains this. For example, in the morning when you wake up, you say, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. We start with the name of God. Before we eat, we mention God's name. When we eat things, or when we look and we see things, we need to remember that God is doing it. We need to think about the provisions that God has given us, right? Our eyes, our legs, our mouth, our nose, to be able to see, to feel, like all these things that God has created for us. We need to think about all these things. We shouldn't be like the other people, right? We need to do this all the time, and we need to like practice, and every day we need to practice. Um we need to correct ourselves, right? And there are some ways of doing that. The message of the covenant talks about these pinches. For example, you having a headache, or when you're walking and you step on something and it hurts, for example, or these small things that happens to us. These are small reminders that we are doing something wrong, and God wants to correct us. So He's giving us these hints, actually, so we can think about, okay, my head is hurting. God promises me that I'm going to forget what headaches are, but now I have a headache. So this means that I am doing something wrong, or that I did something wrong. I need to find that thing which is not Quranic in my life. I need to eliminate it, so I can go back to God's kingdom, and so I can be secure and safe. And that is the system of God. And actually, it's also not very difficult to do. And one of the other things I want to say is that the messenger also speaks about how important it is to repent to God, right? Like any moment you have as long as you are alive, you have this opportunity to go back to God's kingdom. Like any moment you need to repent, and then with that, you are back to God's kingdom. In 210:6, it said, those at your Lord are never too proud to worship him. They glorify him and fall prostrate before him. And with this, God willing, I will end. If you, brothers and sisters, have any questions or things that you want to add, please go ahead.
Inshallah, thank you very much. Good study.
MashaAllah, brother.
MashaAllah. Thank you,
Inshallah.
brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a verse you were talking about with God saying, if He sends them 1,000 times, that they will do the same thing. I just wanted to point out it doesn't say 1,000 times. It just says if God sends them back, they will do the same thing again.
Oh, yeah, mashallah.
So yeah, I mean, very very important reminders. Especially about remembering God most of the day. And that's how like the verses about the babies becoming idle, would easily happen because here you have a child. You have to. I mean, it's kind of tricky because on one side, I mean, you are kind of forced to have to look after the baby all day, like he's completely, a creature that is helpless, and you have to make sure that the baby is fed, the baby, is warm or not cold, depending on the weather, and everything's good. And then on the other side, like you can't idolize the baby. Same thing with like your work, right? I mean, you have to work, let's say, 8 hours or more in your day, but you still can't make your work your god, because you can't be overconsumed by thoughts about your work. I mean, you have to still make God your god. Let's say if you have multiple things going on, let's say you have a child, you have a baby, and you have work too. Now you have, multiple things, right? So guess what God says? Money and children are a test, you know. So, in all of that, like, I mean, we thought that, we all were so confident that we were going to worship God alone, that God would be our God most of the day, and we were so sure about it. That's what makes it even harder. That if you get everything else right, all your other things right, and you don't innovate or etc., I mean, then you still have to work on this part, which makes it even more difficult. I mean, most of us, we have egos that we can't conquer and are stuck with it, and I mean, like, for example, that can be so easy, for someone to fall into it. Like, some people will spend all their time thinking about their appearance or other people's perception of them, you know, and that simply, becomes your ego, becomes your god.
MashaAllah, brother. And it's very true. Like, um, you talked about the how difficult, like, um, it can be. Like, if you, for example, if you have kids, like, you have to work, you have to think about all these things. But, you know, as submitters, we know that we cannot make such things our priorities, right? Like, we must have our priorities straight, and we must put God first, and make God our God most of the day, not these earthly things.
Yep. Praise be to God.
Inshallah.
Yeah, God tells us that. God says in verse 183, 182, 183, as for those who reject our relations, we lead them on without ever realizing it. I will even encourage them. My scheming is formidable. So, I mean, that also explains um, how, these people come up with ways and means to like connect the dots. Oh, look at this, like, look at this book, and look at this part, and like how they come up with like far fetched and like far reaching conclusions by like finding things that you would not normally look for. I mean, it's like they're helped in some way, almost divine way, to like find these loopholes, so to speak, to come up with their ideas, that they come up with, and this shows that God, people who want to go astray, God will lead them on in that direction. He will even encourage them, and there will be people in their lives that will be cheering them on as they're doing these blunders, and and they'll look at the people and look at the numbers and the support that they're getting from all of those places where they're being encouraged, and think that they're doing good. So, mashallah, I mean, God's perfect system, for criminals.
Yeah, but mashallah, the thing about sending back is in which one is this? 32:12. It says, if only you could see the guilty when they bow down their heads before their Lord. Our Lord, now we have seen and we have heard. Send us back and we will be righteous. Now we have attained certainty. Um,
Mhm.
and then in the footnote, it says, if sent back, they would commit the same transgression. Yeah, this is what
Mhm.
the thing is. And there is no thousand there, brother. MashaAllah. Thank you for reminding.
Mhm. No problem. I thought you, when you started commenting on that, I thought you found 1,000 times. I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah, like I actually maybe I meant if like if you're destined for hell,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter how many times you go and
Yeah.
come and how many
Hmm.
miracles you see, right? Like it's
Hmm.
not going to help.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, there's no going back, right? But God could easily send the person back in time, you know, uh, if
It,
that would
yeah.
help him in some way. But there's this shows that they're inherently bad people, that they will, based on the quality of their soul, they're still going to make the wrong choice. It's just a part of the test. Obviously, when they go back, they're not going to have the same memory that they were with God, and
Mm-hmm,
they now have to
mm-hmm.
choose the right thing. They're going to go and do the exact same thing, based on,
Yeah.
yeah,
In 13 it says, had we willed, we could have given every soul its guidance,
yeah,
but it is already predetermined that I will fill hell with jinns and humans all together.
yeah,
In the
yeah,
footnote, that the majority of humans insist upon going to hell by choosing to ignore God's invitations to redeem them. God will not put a single person in hell. Those who fail to redeem themselves by denouncing idolatry and devoting themselves to God alone, and fail to develop their souls through the practices prescribed by our Creator, will have to run to hell on their own volition. They will be too weak to stand the physical presence of God's energy. Like, yeah, it's actually the system of God, right? Like, God gives us all the information on how we can grow our souls. So when we die, we can be close to God. We can be in His presence. And hell is, of course, like far away from God, and they are running away from God because they cannot bear this energy of God, right? Like this is God's system.
yeah, mashallah. And also, another important verse is 2:4, when it says, when the Quran is recited, you shall listen to it and take heed that you may attain mercy. So I think this is along the same lines as the verses we discussed before about reading the Quran carefully, and when the Quran is being recited, you shall listen to it. I mean, it's one thing to talk, like people like to talk, you know, but I think the intelligent people, should listen and talk, right? But if there's only talk and no listening, um, then those are the fools. Like, when the Quran is recited, they don't listen to it, but they insist on their personal opinions, right? And God's revelations. I mean, we're so blessed by God that God has sent us these enlightening reminders. In a world that is just filled with Satan worshippers all around us, and we have been so blessed by God to have the opportunity to reflect on the verses that can save us. So we should be thankful to God by action, which is to listen, to reflect, and not be like we said, not be like animals. Not that the animals are bad, but obviously, I mean, they don't have the ability to comprehend. They don't have the responsibility. They don't have to, obviously. But God says that human beings are worse than animals. John said, "Spo." Oh, yeah, like the swine who trample pearls. Yes,
Yeah, so in 187, it was about the hour, right? He said, they ask you about the end of the world, the hour, and when it will come to pass, say, the knowledge thereof is with my Lord, only he reveals its time. And then in the footnote, of course, the right time to reveal this information was predetermined for the Message of the
Mm-hmm.
Covenant in 1980. And
Mm-hmm.
if we look at, because, when I was reading this, this was also something that I related to, Apophis, where, and what I mean by that is the messenger of the covenant looks at the dates, he looks at the verse, and then you have all these signs, right? The mathematical signs in the
Mm-hmm.
Quran which relate to that date when it's going to happen. And he says clearly, this is not my own opinion. I am not saying when it's going to happen. It is God who is saying this, and God has put that in the Quran, the end of the like the hour, the when it's going to happen. He put it in the Quran, um, and with the asteroid, right? We have relations with 19, the miracle of 19, that we should understand that it's not an opinion, right? We have all these evidences, the calculations that we have. It's like very similar to each other. How this has been done. And if the messenger of the covenant was alive, and he would have the information, because Apophis was found in 14 years after his death, right, in 2004. um, he would also look at the numbers, and after seeing all these multiples of 19, it would be very clear for him also to say that that is basically the asteroid that he was talking about.
Mashallah,
Yeah.
brother, exactly. Mm.
Yeah. Also, the Apophis is not the same as the end of the world. I mean, end of the world is a much bigger event, right, than the Apophis. And so, knowing the time of the end of the world is not exactly the same as like knowing the time when the smoke is going to happen. Like it is, of course, serious, but um, I mean, the messenger of the covenant did give us the information about the smoke that it's going to happen. Just because he didn't give us the time, I mean, to me, like it's a very insignificant part of the information in the sense of the most of the information the has already been given to us. I mean, of course, I'm not trying to downplay those numbers either, but for people in their heads, like they made it so big, like, oh, like how can he know when it's gonna happen? Like the smoke, he's not a messenger. Like I didn't
Mhm.
even think about that. Like none of us thought like that, right? I mean, like, okay, well, messenger already said it's gonna come. It's gonna come soon. He gives us all these timelines. He even told us like when he thought it might happen, which was a long time ago. So it's definitely overdue in almost, so to speak, So if it's coming soon and God is letting us know, I mean, what's the big deal with that?
Mashallah, brother. Yeah, and what you just said, like everything aligns. Like if like it's very like not logical if you do not believe that um the connections with
Mm-hmm.
number 19, and that's the date that's gonna happen, because okay, if it's not this, like how do you think God is gonna let the believers know, you know like which
Mm-hmm.
other way, like nothing else, like this is like nothing else will make sense,
Mm-hmm.
like, so do you even think it's gonna hit? Do you even believe in that prophecy? Because if you did, then um, what we have been receiving now with all these connections, um, this will be your answer, and you will
Mm-hmm.
believe in it because um, it's from God, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, when the other thing that, of course, I had thought about, which I mean, I don't know if it's right or not, really, Um, but the other thing I thought about was that when God says, only to a messenger does He reveal from the past and the present specific news. So like for the most part, messenger of the covenant has been given all of that information about the smoke that's going to happen and all that. But when people say that you're not a messenger in that sense, like the messenger says that you guys are all messengers in the sense of the fact that we are, like, you go to your school, you go to your neighborhood, your work, you are all messengers in that sense, right? So but the thing is, like, this is like, just for telling you the date, like, God is not going to send a commissioned messenger whose job will only be to pinpoint the smoke, like, that's not possible. And we have the example, I mean, we talked about that before, right? The example of Moses' mother, who was inspired. Um, she wasn't a messenger, and God gave her the information to put the baby in the box, and that baby will be returned to her, which it was, And again, also Mary was not a messenger; she was a saint, and God gave her the good news that her son was going to be a prophet, for example. So,
Yeah,
okay,
mashallah,
that
brother.
makes sense.
Mashallah. Yeah, and also even the messenger of the covenant himself, I think I shared it with you and John. He says it in the video himself, the three ways that God communicates with
Hmm.
us. And he does not only say messenger, he says the other ways too. He
Hmm.
says the through a barrier,
Yeah,
um
through inspiration
through inspiration, yeah, mashallah.
and by sending a messenger. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the other part of it that I think that is significant is, okay, the fact that we have all those mathematical proofs that are connected to it. I mean, it would be one thing if we said that, okay, it's in Tucson and it's happening on the 19th. Everybody just should accept it. Yeah, but that's not where it ended. I mean, that's where it started. But of course, we have so many proofs, right? And so now, when you look at all these numbers and you don't have another defense, like, the numbers are credible, and then you say, well, so what if you have the numbers? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, that shows that you don't understand what numbers even represent. Like, we accept the Quran as the truth. We understand the proof because the proof, confirms it, that it's from God. The proof is itself is not numbers; it's God's signature, right? And when you have something with God's signature, that means it's coming from God. So if you say, so what, you got the numbers, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it would be the same thing as you say, yeah, so what if there's a miracle with 19 in the Quran? Yeah, so what? Like,
Yeah.
that's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the signature of God, like we can see this in this book, we can also see it in all those numbers, right? Which are multiples
Well.
of 19 related to the asteroid, but also all the things that are created by God, like we can see that, for example, the amount of bones that we have in our bodies, like everything that God has created, we can see this the signature of God. And again, there you have the signature. So what do we need to do with this information?
Mhm.
Like, God is sending an asteroid, like the messenger of the covenant has spoken about it. He didn't give a time, but then we end up finding out in 2004 an asteroid which, with all these details, is a multiple of 19. So, and only God can do something like this, right? Because,
Mm.
for example, the number of the number of this asteroid is not something that we decided to give, right? We didn't
Mm-hmm.
decide to give it that number,
Mm-hmm.
or we didn't
Mm-hmm.
decide it to be found
Give
on
it
that
give
date.
it the name
So
Apollos with geometrical value also.
yeah, so many things, right? Which,
Mm-hmm.
and then this information about when it's when it was discovered, where it was discovered, the calculation, the end date, the relation with the chapters in the Quran to that specific date. So imagine this guy who discovered Apophis, right? Made the calculations. Like, did he go to the Quran, found the verses that talk about heavenly bodies, and found the verse about the smoke, and like, and try to
Mm-hmm.
relate to that? Like, of
Mm-hmm.
course not. So
Yeah.
like, and then you think of, okay, like, what does this say to us, to ones who believe in the miracle of 19 and the messenger that God has sent with the the appendices where we have this information? So what do we need to do with this information? Like, ignore or say, yeah, so what if it's all multiples of 19?
Mm-hmm.
That's definite. That doesn't make sense. Like, if you just like the um uh, uh think that it isn't there, like closing your eyes to it, like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that it is
Yeah.
there, but you don't accept it by just closing your eyes. Just, no, it's not there. It's not there. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the funniest thing, the funniest and like the cringiest moment for me in all of this was like when he started using the atheist argument, and he was thanking him like, oh, like, thank God, like, he said this, like, he was using it against him to he was using it to imagine that was the argument that this guy had given to him, uh, to, well, I forgot even his name.
Which argument?
The one about the Al Fatiha, the the guy, the police guy. What was his name again? Anyways, your dead name
Yeah.
doesn't matter. The guy who worked for the police, right, in Turkey. So,
Oh,
so
yeah, no. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Oktay.
yeah,
Yeah, Oktay.
okay, yeah, right.
Yes.
So so this atheist, he tried to debate with an atheist and to show to him the miracle in Al Fatiha, and he was making those arguments to disprove that the Al-Fatiha was from God. And
Oh, yes.
he's literally
Uh,
using copying and pasting all of his words to say, look, numbers are like this, numbers can be like this. I'm like,
It can
look,
be
but can't
done.
you?
It is
Yeah,
possible. Yeah.
I'm like, look, like, doesn't it tell you like the fact that using an atheist argument? He's like, yeah, so said, God used his arguments to show me the truth. Like that shocks me. Like you to
Yeah, I was
see how coming
shocked
from
when
a
I
kid
saw
younger.
that.
Mhm. Like, yeah, I mean,
Mm.
I'm using the same argument that an atheist used to, and you're saying it's credible. What does that mean? Even that means that you don't believe the Al-Fatiha is from God, because that you're taking that argument as the truth, right?
Hmm.
Like, how else does it make sense? It doesn't make sense to me logically. Like, if you're saying his argument is valid when he was using
Hmm.
it to disprove that the Al-Fatiha was
Hmm.
from God and it can be fake,
Hmm.
and then he's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
So
it can be fake.
yeah, so for the brothers and sisters who don't know, like, I can summarize it quite fastly. So we have, of course, the miracle of 19 that we can see and read and look at, which is like so many multiples of 19 with geometrical values, etc. This atheist person, he changed the Surah Fatiha. He placed some different words which were all wrong. Like, immediately I saw that. I said, this is wrong. It doesn't, like, the math is wrong, the words are wrong, like, but then they just accepted it, because showing us, like, okay, it is possible to do. You can write a chapter like chapter 1. You can do that and then change the words, and these are all multiples of 19, which they weren't. I immediately started showing them that it is not a multiple of
That's
19.
right.
The words don't make sense. It is not grammatically right. So many mistakes. And then, yeah, I think, like, God is also has this system where he exposes the true identities of people, and so, yeah, it's a waste of their own souls, brother.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, now this guy, he made up his own words, even, and all the words were wrong. All the words didn't make sense. The numbers were multiples of 19, and
Yeah.
still, in our case, like, we're not writing words. We're just taking what we have and presenting that. Like, we didn't choose, like you said, we didn't choose
The
Apophis as the
date,
name for it, the
Apophis.
date
Yes.
or the place. So
Hmm.
it's totally
We were
bogus.
just looking yesterday at it. For example,
Hmm.
the geometrical value of the name Apophis,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Like
Yeah.
even that is related to the miracle of like with
Hmm.
19. Yeah, so
Wow.
what should we do in this case, right? As believers in the Quran, as believers in the
Yeah,
miracle of
mashallah.
19.
Like you
So what
said.
should we do with this information, right? Like to think that no, it's not going to happen, or maybe it seems very unbelievable, even to some submitters. It can be, right? They can think, yeah, well, yeah, because sometimes people expect that to hear this type of information from a messenger, for example, right? Like Dr. Rashad, because if Dr. Rashad would have said it, and I've seen some, they say, yeah, the only reason that I believe in it is because Dr. Rashad has spoken about it. Like that's the thing, and
Mhm.
that was also their um their opinion. They were saying, yeah, Dr. Rashad didn't give us the date. Like if that was the date, then he would have given it, and only then we
Mhm.
would believe in it, right? So this
Mhm.
shows that they actually, in reality, they don't believe in the miracle of 19, because
Mhm.
if you believe in this miracle, you understand the concept behind it, and you understand the system of this 19, right? How it works. Like it's related to names, to like even with remember the example the messenger gave. It was about Becca and Mecca, right? So one letter is different, but there is a purpose behind it. Or the example of the amounts of the word Quran in the Quran, right? It was 58, but one of it is not related to this Quran. It's another book. So it gives you, this mathematical miracle gives you also an insight of the context, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and then if you neglect that, then you end up not believing in it, of course. It can be decisive for some people, I think. How do you
Decisive.
say decisive? Is it the right word? They
Uh,
are being
dis-
deceived by not
Deceptive.
understanding this, yeah, deceptive, yeah, not understanding the
Mhm.
system, right? Like
Mhm.
that means they didn't get the point. They really didn't get the point. Like after so many years of Quran studies and talking about the
Mhm.
miracle, looking at all these
Yeah.
details, and still you don't get the
Mhm.
point of this system, how
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first thing I found weird, like when I first met him, like he was talking about Jesus and Mary being born in Turkey. I'm like sitting there confused, looking at it. I'm like,
What?
nobody else is noticing what I'm just hearing. Like, what's going on?
What?
Yeah, and
Was Jesus a Turk?
yeah. So
I need to spread the word, brother.
yeah, when you go to that place, you know, it,
Where?
it, um, it is near Izmir, Ephesus. They have
Oh, yeah,
this.
yeah.
They have this thing for Mary. They have some signs and stuff. So they believe. Some people believe. I think that they were. I don't know. Maybe it's like they did that to get tourists or something. But
Mm, yeah.
they made it like Mary was from Turkey.
Mm. Yeah, they say also that Adam, when he came
Yeah.
to the
Hmm.
world, he came to Turkey. And Noah,
Hmm.
Noah's Ark, it's in
Uh-huh.
Turkey.
Uh-huh.
Everything is in Turkey. Brother, there is this it's a little bit out of topic, but I'll still tell it. There is
Hmm.
this funny funny meme where they say
Hmm.
it's sunny all the time in Turkey and everywhere else it's raining. Believing
Uh-huh.
that all the good things are in
Uh-huh.
Turkey, and
Hmm.
not because I'm Turkish, but Yeah, they say Abraham is Turkish,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, and
then
I mean,
maybe
the thing is,
Muhammad's grandfather is
yeah,
also Turkish.
yeah. And I mean, the thing is, I mean, we have to be careful about that, because what it demonstrates is like a type of like racism, like being overly proud of your race, right? I mean, we see that it kind of like becomes part of the ego, right? I mean, and the whole time, like, uh, if you talk to a person the whole time and say you're not from Turkey, right? And they're just going on and on about Turkish people and how, just about them. It's like you know what I'm talking about. Like there's people that are too infatuated with
It's
their own
racist,
race,
brother. It's
Yeah, yeah,
racist.
racist.
It's really racist.
Yeah.
Like nationalism
Hmm.
it's also prohibited, right? Actually, because you think that you are better than some other race.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
people just
For sorry about the Turks, my friends. I am so sorry. In the name of the Turkish people, I apologize
No, I
for the
mean it happens
stupidity.
in every there's people like that in every country. In the U.S. Yeah, I mean I don't need to. And everybody knows now. I mean how ignorant people can be.
Okay, one more funny thing, brother. So, and then you have these places in Turkey, and then you have some people who are from that specific place, and they think that's the best
Hmm.
place also. So it
Uh,
doesn't end with it doesn't
right.
end there. It goes up to
Hmm.
the village,
Hmm.
and that's the best.
Uh, right,
You
right.
understand?
Yeah.
Oh, funny man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this is very dangerous too for people. But these are basically things that are obviously not from the Quran. Like if you really believe in the Quran, God says, He created everybody equal. The best person in the sight of God is one who's more righteous, you
Yeah,
know.
mashallah.
So our ranks, as far as God is concerned, you being better than anybody else, it's not based on your country or your color or your physical uh,
Mm-hmm,
abilities. It's all based on your soul, which you can't even see, right?
mm-hmm. Yes,
And
and even
so,
messengers or prophets, like that doesn't make
mhm,
them better than normal people. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
In 188, it says like messengers are powerless. They do not know the future. Say,
Mhm,
I have no power to benefit myself or harm myself. So neither to harm,
mhm,
neither to benefit. But still, people thinking that messengers are the greatest. They know everything. They are the best among the people.
mhm,
That's also one of the tricks the devil used to idolize the messengers and the prophets, right? Like to
mhm,
make them in a way. And like
mhm,
the messenger even speaks about that. He says when the people hear the word messenger, what does he say? He said they are so odd. I don't know, but because they see the messengership as
mhm.
like so high, and if
Yeah,
someone comes
exactly.
and he is messenger, they think, what? You can't be a messenger. You need to be able to fly and to do
Mhm,
these very unbelievable
mhm.
things.
Yeah.
Unless you do that, we will not believe in you. Yeah, and then if you show a miracle, then it's witchcraft, or it's like magic, or like that's stupid
Mhm,
arguments that they have. But knowing, and when you read the translation of Dr. Rashad, and then he has these titles, right? It's very
mhm.
clear
Subtitle.
when it says messengers. Sorry.
Subtitle.
Yes, subtitle. Sorry. Yes, it says
Mhm,
messengers are powerless. They do not know the future. Like this is very clear. In this verse, you can see I have no power to benefit myself or harm myself. And what I found, and I give this example all the time, he says, if I knew the future, I would have increased my wealth, and no harm would have afflicted me, right? Like this is
mhm,
in when you speak to someone and you try to explain to them that you don't know the future and you don't have power to benefit yourself or to harm yourself, Like a person would say, yeah, like if I would have known the future, or if I would have some extra power, I would have more wealth, because with wealth comes power, right? And with power you can somehow protect yourself in this logical sense, right? So, and then but still believing that Muhammad is going to save them from God, and that's basically it, right? Muhammad is going to save them from God. That is what they believe in.
So yeah, I think the idolization, that's the idolization of the messengers, you know, and I mean, the thing is, like, people can have these tendencies also, right? And I'll give you the example of the same person we're talking about now, right? So when we first started talking about Apophis, and so this person seemed very excited, when we talk about Apophis, and he says, so he said, yes, he says, I'm looking forward to it, And to me at the time, like, all this stuff was very new, like, I feel so scared, like, for me it's like I wish something that I wasn't around when hoping that I wasn't around when this happened, and like every time I'm talking about this, like, I feel kind of scared, to be honest, right? And this person was very happy. I'm like, why? And he said it's because, he says, I wanna see those people who persecuted the messenger getting punished, you know. And actually, when I heard that, like, my first reaction was kind of disappointing, because it's not about the messenger, right? The fact that all those people, the reason why these people are getting annihilated
Mm.
is not because
Enemies of
just
God.
enemies of God, exactly, I mean, they did all these things against God, and here you are just saying, yeah, because they persecuted the messenger, I mean, that just shows that
Hmm.
your focus is not God,
Hmm. You're idolizing Rashad in this case.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, people intend to be idolizing. Yeah. Brother, I had a question about 189. He says, our children can be idols, but then God says He created you from one person, Adam, and subsequently, He gives every man a mate to find tranquility with her. She then carries light load that she can hardly notice. So, like, I don't know how important it is to ask this question about, how the humans in this world, we had Adam and we have Eve. When they were in this world, were they alone? Did God created other people like He created Adam, or they had children? Like, they were the only human beings, Adam and Eve, in this world, and after that they had their children. And from that, the question comes, if they're all children of Adam and Eve, how did we multiply? How did the human beings multiplied? Is there any information that we have about this topic? Like, because I didn't find anything, or maybe I don't know, maybe the messenger spoke about this topic. I know he spoke about the topic that the bodies of Adam and Eve when they were in heaven and where their
Hmm.
bodies are, etc. But
Hmm.
about uh,
Yeah, so
multiplying.
yeah. So the first part about what you asked, like, whether they were the only human beings on earth at the time, and if everybody else was their children, that's definitely in the Quran, that it says, God says, "O children of Adam." So we're all children of Adam. There's no doubt about that. And God says, there was Adam, there was Eve, and there was just Adam and Eve. And they can't,
Hmm.
and everybody was their children. There can't. It doesn't make sense. There were other humans before them, right? And then as far as their multiplication, I mean, it's there's no verse in the Quran, obviously, that says how they multiplied, but we know that it was, Earth had to be populated at the time, so
Hmm.
incest was not uh, prohibited at the time. I mean, obviously, we had the commandments that came later on, right?
Hmm.
So these people did not have the same
Yeah. So, but
remembrance, I guess.
but we have the information that there was only Adam and Eve. That information we
Yeah,
have, and
yeah.
everyone else are the children of Adam and
Children of
Eve.
Adam.
So
Yes.
when you think logically, so that means that that was basically the way, and we can accept that,
Yeah,
right? We can say, okay, at
yeah,
that
yeah.
time it
At
was
that
like
time,
that. They had many
yes.
children, and God has His own ways.
Mhm.
So and rule, and you have different type of rules when people evolve, and at time
Mhm.
things change, etc. So okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, and about the names of God. So the
Mhm.
Sunni Islam or the Islamic world, they talk about 99 names. Like I was,
Mhm.
when I went to the mosque and they were teaching
Mhm.
us all these things, it was all the time 99.
Mhm.
But if I'm not mistaken, it is not 99, right? That's not
No,
from the
you
Quran,
can
or
have as many names as you want. God says all the
Mhm.
beautiful names belong to God. If you just count
Yeah.
the attributes of God in the Quran, there's way more than 99,
Mhm.
right? And then,
Yes.
God, I mean, any beautiful attribute that you can think of, you know,
Yeah.
it fits God. These are, I mean, these are
That's
not quote unquote like names, like they're attributes, like qualities,
attributes. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
that's how we know God, right? I mean, by his
yeah.
attributes, by his properties, by his qualities, and so all the beautiful
Yes.
names belong to God.
Yes. It makes it also very personal, right? Like when you name God and you name His attributes, you, in a way, you have this personal connection to Him, that He is my Lord. For example, we have spoken about this, right? He said, "My
Mm-hmm.
Lord." My God, my Savior, right? The one
Mm-hmm.
who provides for me, like He's doing it
Mm-hmm.
for me, as if I'm the only person, like in
Mm-hmm.
a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that we should make it extremely
Mm-hmm.
personal. And the messenger
Yeah.
tells this, right? He says, like when you are in this, where you are going to feel as if you're the only person, and God is, what does He say? Like um He's arranging everything for you, right? But you can see that
Mm-hmm.
very clearly. Like
Yeah.
He's helping you out,
Based on
providing
your
for you,
actions,
helping you.
based on how reverent you are, as if you're the
Hmm.
only person in the world,
Yes,
ever, like under a
yes, yes,
microscope,
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, it should be personal because you're literally, your
ملف
soul.
ملف بيت ورايا هاصل.
Guys, yeah.
Yes.
I think Sorgo, you need to be on mute.
أوه.
Uh, whoever's moderating,
Mm.
can you put her on mute?
Boş bir.
I think Jafar, you're the
Uh,
moderator.
لو يلا نوى خارو بخوريا.
okay,
You
I'll
can make
see
her.
if I can do that. How do you do that? I forget.
You right click on her name and select mute.
Right click. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait 1 second. Oh, wait. I think here it is. Um, is it muted? I'm not sure.
No. Yeah, now it's muted. Yeah, thank you, Mashallah.
No? Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
was
so
saying
you're saying?
our souls are literally a part of God. Like God breathes into us. The body. He breathed into us, so our souls are literally a part of God. I mean, that's why our souls grow when we remember God. So it has to be very, very personal.
Hmm.
If you're literally a part of something, I mean, it can't be more
How
personal
amazing
than
is
that.
that?
Yeah, it's like something is a part of you.
Wow. Yeah, like a part of God. That's very, like,
Hmm.
that's so amazing, like if you think about
Hmm.
it, this is really special, yeah.
Hmm.
But can we say the same thing about the jinns, for example? Because God says it was with Adam he blew into. right? But not the jinns. That the jinns are, we
Hmm.
can say that the souls of the jinns are also a part of God, right? We
I
can say
mean,
that. Or can we? I don't know.
I think it's the same thing.
Yeah,
You know,
because
because
he
God
created
created
them
them.
too, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and by the way, I wanted to ask, like, there is in the Quran verse where God speaks about, maybe it's off topic, but about different heavens for the jinns and humans and different hells for the
Hmm.
humans and the jinns.
Mm.
Is there a
Right.
specific reason for that? Maybe I'm not sure, but if hell is a place which is the farthest away from God, like
Hmm.
that is basically hell, right? Is is the
Hmm.
eighth universe that God
Hmm.
creates. He is going to create. It's not created yet, but that place is physically the farthest place from God. So, like, I don't even know if this question is an important question, but I just thought, I was
Hmm.
thinking about it, that they
Hmm.
have a separate hell. Like, what does that mean? Is that like in the same eighth universe?
Yeah, I mean, they just have a different one because, you know, no, the hell, they don't have different hells. They have different
Hmm.
paradises. No, but
Oh,
in hell
okay.
they're together.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And in paradise, it's different.
in paradise is different. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Like, okay. It can be different for also the humans, right? You have lower heaven, higher heaven.
yeah. One for the jinns, one for the
Okay.
humans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point, brother, because I was thinking out of
Hmm.
it, like, what would, because yeah, I thought, like, if hell is a
Hmm.
place which is the farthest away,
Hmm.
so why do they have a separate one? But okay, and
Hmm.
they will be there together with their
Hmm.
companions, right? That's the
Hmm.
verse, and the
Hmm.
devil will be there as well.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I think the heavens and hells being different has to also do with their rankings. Probably.
Okay.
They were in different degrees. One sided with Satan, one didn't. And there could be many other reasons. I mean, they're based on how they will be, in the hereafter, like physically, whatever. I mean, they'll have different things that they want than humans.
Yeah.
But I think the part that is interesting here is that God says that the humans will be in hell with their companions, so they can fight and blame each other, you know, and make life miserable for each other. you know? The demons will be there with them, basically the most evil entities. Imagine, like, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. And brother, in verse 200, it says, um, when the devil whispers to you any whisper, seek refuge in God. He is hearer, omniscient. So this means that we can know the moment when the devil whispers something to us, right? Or can we say the devil is doing this all the time, like whispering, giving us all these bad ideas or to do things, right? For example, to steal or to be angry or to like, you
yeah, but
see,
that doesn't happen all the time, right?
yeah, occasionally, like something
Like,
happens and then you
mm,
can act in a certain way. You can,
yeah, when it happens, exactly. Like you're sitting and, like, all of a sudden thought comes, Jaffer, go steal $10 from Suleiman. So when you get that idea, you seek refuge. Or I'm just giving an example.
That's good. Yeah, so then you say, oh yeah, okay. You say then, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim," for example. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
seek refuge in God means I seek refuge in God from
Mm-hmm.
Satan, or from the whisper. Like you have this the chapter in the last chapter in the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
"Qul a'udhu birabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas." Right, this one.
So Rabbi, أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك رب أن يحضرون. Yeah. I mean, that's two
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
whispers of
that's
the
yeah,
devil.
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, when
But
that
it happens
happens,
a
and
lot.
we say
It
this,
happens a lot. Yeah. The messenger says, even if you do it like 200 times, he says it's not enough a day.
okay. Oh, okay, okay. Uh, but what's okay? So actually, basically, you're asking God to help you to you're asking God to help
Hmm.
you to be able to stand against those whispers, like not to follow them, right? Because they're whispering it to you, and then this is something maybe you want to do, but then when you seek refuge in God, you remember God, and when you remember God, you're actually some kind in the kingdom of God where you're going to be protected, and then God is protecting you. Like that's basically what you want, right? You say, "Oh my God, help me.
Hmm.
The whispers are coming in. I seek refuge in you from all these whispers and the bad ideas." And then
Hmm.
God promises to help us, of course. So this is like also a commandment, a practical way of handling this situation,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Masha.
Yeah. So, I
Okay.
mean, when we do that, then the whispers don't come, the whispers stop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
whole
it
point.
stops. Oh,
I mean, it
okay.
stops for when you're asking God to know, but it doesn't mean they're not going to start again, let's say, you know, an hour from then or maybe next day. But at that time,
Hmm.
if the devil whispering something to you, he's trying to, entice you to do something or, I mean, the devil doesn't even have to, uh, do it in this way. Let's say, the devil can also like, distract you and
Hmm.
make you think about silly things, to distract you
Ah, keep you
and
busy with
keep
something,
you
and then
busy.
forget about your prayer,
and
for
and
example, or
also,
something else.
yeah, and also he
Oh, wow.
subtly tries to lead people astray, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that every time the devil comes to you, like he succeeds, right? But the devil's constantly trying in our
Trying.
uh,
Yeah.
with the whispers, I mean, our jinn also, constantly debating with us, you know. So when we seek refuge, you know, God, God, makes us seers at that time. Like God, allows us to be protected from those whispers, which is what we
Yeah, and
want.
we understand at
Yes.
that moment that these are the devil's whispers. We acknowledge
Hmm.
that, right?
Hmm.
And by remembering God and asking for his refuge, you want to be protected. You are asking help from God. You say, please, my
Hmm.
God, help me out with
Hmm.
this. And of course, God is then helping because you, at that
Hmm.
moment, like you're doing the righteous thing.
Right.
Yeah, okay. And brother, like about this, the companion, like, um, is there a way of knowing that the companion also started believing in the message and became a submitter or not? Is there a way that every person himself or herself would know and understand, okay, like I think that, or I am convinced that my companion is became also a submitter now? And the reason why I'm asking is, please correct me if I'm wrong, the messenger speaks about the dawn prayer, and he
Hmm.
said that the his companion is helping him waking up.
Hmm.
Is that right? Something like that. Yeah. So
Hmm.
this means that like this companion is like helping this him out with all the stuff. So
Hmm.
he became a submitter. So is there for the human being, for us, a way of understanding or coming to a conclusion that our companions became submitters or not? Oh, he
Yeah,
said it
Brother
could be an
John says
angel.
it could be an
Oh,
angel.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, it may be an indication. Like you can say maybe, but you cannot be like 100% sure, like, because it could also be an angel, like Brother John said.
But okay, but I want to ask you, brother. So can I, for certainty, say I am a submitter? I can say that, right?
Yeah, I
I
can say
need to
that
say.
you're a submitter.
Sorry?
I can say you're a submitter.
Yes, yeah,
Why can't
yeah,
you
yeah. But
say?
the no. So I'm going to try to make a point, and then please correct me if it's a wrong
Uh-huh.
idea. Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
okay. So the
Yeah,
whole
first it
point.
was yeah,
Yes.
first it was kafir, but now you're a submitter, you know? 'Cause you changed it to Jafir.
Yeah, yeah. But brother, it changes back again, right? Okay. Okay. So this is what I want to ask, yeah. Um, so I believe I am a submitter. I know for myself 100% that I am a submitter, but I also understand that a submitter is someone that submits to the will of God all the time. And if there are moments that you're not submitting to Him, then you're at that in that period you're not a submitter, right? Because you're not submitting to the will of God. You're stepping out of
Mhm.
God's kingdom. So, and I am living in this world, and I don't know when I am going to die. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? And we have seen also so many people that said that they are submitters, but then they ended up not being submitters because after, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years, they had these other ideas, something happened, and they ended up not being submitters. So, believing that you're a submitter and that you're going to stay a submitter until your end of days,
Mhm.
is that let me try to ask it in a way like it's not, is it guaranteed, like can I say that it's guaranteed for me, or I can't say that? Because if it's guaranteed for me, the message of the covenant, he speaks about the companion becoming a submitter, because it's either he convinces you or you convince him. And if I'm convinced that I'm a submitter, eventually he is going to end up being a submitter. I don't know if that time comes after I die, or maybe he becomes a submitter after I die, and
Mhm.
then he's released, and then he sees some other evidences, and then he submits. Or do you understand a little bit my point and my question, brother?
I think
Tancred?
I got parts of it. You know, I think I got parts of it that I can respond to, and if maybe if I'm missing anything, or maybe other people can also chime in, right?
Hmm.
But I think that God tells us that we can say we're submitters, right? I mean, like we have the verse where the Arabs said we're mu'mins,
We
and
need to
God says
say.
no, say you're submitters. You know, and then when you also turn 40, you say I repented to you, God, I'm a submitter. But the
Hmm.
thing is, like, being a submitter today doesn't mean you're going to be a submitter tomorrow, also, right? I mean, someone could
Hmm.
just become a disbeliever after becoming a submitter, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
People submit and then they become disbelievers, their doubts may overtake them, and they turn into hypocrites. So that's why we have the prayer to ask God to let us die as a submitter, also, I mean, that we should pray to God that I want to also die as a submitter. Like I don't want to become a submitter now, but then disbelieve later. Like there's nothing saying that if you became a submitter today that you can't uh, you know revert someday. People do that. They submit and then they fall off. I mean, they're not moments. So someone could be in the lowest rank in submission. It only takes a little bit of doubt to overtake you, right? And as soon as that happens, people become hypocrites. So we pray to God that we die as submitters. So I mean, that's the first part,
Yeah,
right? Because if you say, yeah, I'm convinced I'm a submitter, that means like you're convinced you're going to heaven, right? I mean, but even
you
Abraham,
can
he said,
say God willing.
he,
You can say God willing.
you can say God willing, but the thing is, like, I can't be sure I'm going to heaven, right? I can say I'm a submitter, I'm sure I'm going to heaven. Like, I mean, then there's no difference between us and those Mohammedans who think that they're going to be forgiven, and those 72 virgins. I mean, of course, we don't believe in 72 virgins, but that's besides the point. Um, but obviously, when you start thinking that way, I mean, you, um, y- a lot of bad things can happen, right, to you.
Hmm.
So we are just hopeful to God because our day of judgment hasn't happened yet, and we haven't
Hmm.
died yet. So, we continue to pray to God during this whole time. You're still in the test. Like, as you're in the
Hmm.
test, you're going through the test. You can't be like, oh, I passed the test. Like I'm
But
100% sure of that. I mean,
but
God.
certain
If
people
it's up
can
to
know.
God, the thing is, it's up
Certain
to
people
God. Up
can
to
know.
God. It's up to God, right? Like we can't say that for sure about us, right? But it's up to
Yeah,
God. For
yeah.
example, if God wants to send you an angel to give you the news that paradise has been
Then you
reserved for
said,
you,
then you can know.
that's between you and God, right?
Yeah,
Nobody
and
else
then
knows.
you can say that your companion is also gonna go to heaven if you if you have
If
that, right?
someone's
Like,
going to heaven, if someone's going to heaven, their companion's gonna go with them. Yes.
yes, so the heaven. So yeah, okay. So when you're for sure, but of course, an angel needs to come to tell you to give you that good news. If you have received that news, only then you can say, okay, I have received it. I was a submitter, and I will stay a
Yeah, but
submitter until
that
the
doesn't
end of the
even mean that
days.
even if this happens to someone, like it's that doesn't mean. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen to a person if like someone like when it happens to them, they're gonna go start telling people, hey, you know what? I'm going to
Oh, they
heaven.
won't tell maybe. But brother, wouldn't you, for example, wouldn't you tell us, for example, if it happened to you? Wouldn't you say, brothers and sisters, this happened to me? Or like, is
No,
that something that you shouldn't say? Or
I would be very like reserved about it if I did. No, I wouldn't tell anybody. Maybe someone very close
could
to
it
me, I
taken
would.
away?
Huh?
What did it say? No, like, oh no, John
I
was writing
probably would to
something.
someone maybe who's very close to me, but I wouldn't like go
I would
online
have
and.
told you, Suleiman. I would say, brother, listen, this angel came to me. I know it's unbelievable, but surprise, my friend, I'm gonna go to heaven. Please follow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get the point, brother. I understand.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's like a personal thing, you know. If that does happen to someone, because even if you get that, I mean, you could still have, it's still like something that like when you hear news that is too good to be true.
Uh-huh.
I mean, someone tells you something. Let's say you won $1 billion. Until you have $1 billion in your hand, you're not
You're
really
not,
gonna
it's
know
kind of
you won a
unbelievable.
billion
Yeah.
dollars
Yeah, yeah.
because that's what it's
Yeah.
like. It's more than that.
Yeah, much, much more than that. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, so still the other part of my question, brother. So can we at a moment have this clue maybe? I'm not sure because the John corrected us, right? He said it was either the companion or maybe it was the angel. So this means that he didn't know for sure. So that, yeah, then maybe we can't also know for sure if the companion became a submitter or not. Sulema?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
if it's important to you, God will let you know, right? That if it's important for you to know, God will let you know. Well, only God can let us know. Like, there's nothing I can say. Like, I'm doing all my prayers like, 5 times a day on time, so I know I'm going to paradise. It's not does not like that, right?
Yeah, mashallah. It's up. I feel like it's up to God because there is certain um people that God saves like um in Quran. Like for example, Abraham said he wasn't sure. Like Abraham said that he hopes. Excuse me. In Quran, and may God forgive me. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it like totally
hopefully.
correct.
It says,
Yeah.
who hopefully will forgive my sins on the day of judgment.
And
Mm-hmm.
then there's other like about Jesus, brother, and I think another prophet. That's like when Jesus spoke when he had just came out. He spoke to his mother Mary, and he's telling her like um or either then I should just put up the verse or after he talks to the people because he says like peace be upon me um
The day when I.
and uh-huh and when I get resurrected too.
Mhm.
Mhm. So like it's just like I feel like it's up to God, like that's the information I feel like we
Yeah.
have in that.
The messenger also speaks about it. He says, for example, being a messenger doesn't guarantee you heaven.
Mm,
That's also like an indication, right? Like, even if you're a messenger, and even angels came to you, giving you the message, giving you, this task, difficult task to do it, that doesn't guarantee you heaven. Yeah, makes also sense. So, like, this means that we should hope until the end of our days that we will be redeemed and, do
Hmm.
our best,
Yeah.
the best thing that we can do, actually.
Hmm.
But the
Yeah, and
opposite,
there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason why,
yeah.
like, people. Obviously, it's not. We can't see those things, right? Yet,
What things, brother? What
like,
things?
we can't see the unseen, right?
Yes,
It's
yes,
part
yes.
of the test. So we can't, we can't even be sure about us. I mean, of course, if I'm in a, let's say, I mean, and this is just my personal understanding. I think we're just chatting now, not. I guess it's not about laws here, but let's say, if I'm like running a marathon and I'm really working very hard, and someone comes to me and he says, you know what, you already won this marathon, and if I know that I
Mm.
won the marathon, maybe like I probably won't be as um,
Walk
har-
running as hard as you do,
as
and
hard, but when I
mm,
have this idea that I could pass, I could fail, you know, I would do whatever I can, to get myself out of this race like as a winner,
yeah,
So
and to grow your soul bigger and bigger. Like,
as
even if
much
you
as you
know that
can,
it's,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
as much as you can, because the bigger you get, the closer you get to God, the more
Hmm.
you can handle. Yeah, okay, that makes really sense. Yeah, yeah. But the opposite, right? Like, we can conclude that someone, in a way, is destined for hell, but even then, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
God,
I
again,
can
God
I can
knows it,
say
right?
that about
So,
other people. Like, I can say about other people that other people are submitters. They can be believers. In my opinion. But
hmm,
that doesn't mean that they're actually going to be. Right? Sometimes you don't know. You know, but um, same way for disbelievers too. I mean, you can be sure that someone's going to hell, but the thing is, at the end, God truly knows where they're going to end up, right? But you're going based off your knowledge about them. Um,
hmm. Okay, brother. What about this? Yeah. So, when you follow God's commandments and you are doing this for a very long time, let's say you became a submitter when you were 25, and then you
mhm,
started following all these commandments, you really did your best, and like you're truly doing almost everything that God commands you to do,
mhm.
and you are 80 years old, for example, and you
8 years
you
old?
was 80, for
Oh,
example,
80
yeah,
years
you're
old.
almost dead,
Uh-huh.
maybe, or 90, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like you're almost
Mm-hmm.
at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So God is, um um you know i- in in the sight of God, with his knowledge, if you are all the time in God's kingdom, you are, like, God is not going to, how to say, he's not going to abandon someone who was or who is a submitter for a very long time, right? He's not going to
God
let you
doesn't
go.
abandon anybody. It's the people who do it.
Yeah.
Right? If a person decides to do it, it's on the person. I mean, if someone's doing everything right and they're even in God's kingdom uh, for a
and
while.
and you have grown your soul a lot, let's say
Mhm,
a lot,
mhm,
for many, many years.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, someone
can
being in
you
God's
lose that
kingdom.
suddenly?
No, I mean someone being look, okay. So someone being in God's kingdom as a submitter means they've passed their test. That's why they're in God's kingdom now, right? Because they passed their admissions test.
Hmm.
So admissions test, someone who passes their admissions test is already admitted into God's kingdom. Means they are a submitter. Means they have
Yes.
passed the test. So as a
Yes.
submitter, that they have proven to God that they're going to worship God under all circumstances. So that
In
person is
everything. Yeah.
not going to want to go astray, or will be going astray on his own anyways, because he's already proven he's a submitter. You know, let's say if I've already proven that I'm a person who's going to stick to God, then I have proven it. That means I am not going to go the wrong path. But that doesn't mean that someone can't go the wrong path. Obviously, people still have their free will, right? But
Hmm.
the thing is that um,
Yeah.
we decide our own fate in the sense of the direction that we choose. You know, if you choose to be with God, God willing, just pray to God and remember Him, ask His forgiveness, and God willing, you'll get to the right place. You know, as the
Yeah.
messenger says, and hopefully He will forgive me my sins on the day of judgment. I mean, we know because we
Mm-hmm.
know we know how weak we are as human beings. You know, I mean, even though you're doing all these things, you're still doing a lot of sins. You know that you don't know, and you know
Mm-hmm.
we have the ignorance to not know a lot of the sins that we do, and a lot of times you're unaware. I mean, God forgives and everything, right?
Small
But
sins. Yeah,
you
but those
just
are the
but
messenger
you know
talks
it
about it.
becomes, yeah. But I mean, if you start thinking that way, like you can become like arrogant, you can become
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
egotistical, so we should not think about that. I mean, we should just continue
Mm.
to pray to God for His forgiveness. I mean,
Yeah.
inshallah, just wait for the day, God willing, where you get your record, and once you have your record in your hand,
Then
you know for a fact that you're going to
you made
heaven.
it.
Or when you die,
Yeah, yeah.
when your soul leaves your body, you'll know,
Hmm.
like, if you're not being, tortured, that
Yeah,
means
because
you're
there's also
going
this
to heaven.
verse where after this, when you do idol worship, then everything like isn't like you lose everything.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and if it's really like, I don't even know like why, but let's say if it's really really important to someone, I mean, there's nothing. It's up to God. He can give them the news, So that's pretty much where it ends. Like a person's curiosity about whether they're going to heaven or hell. If God wants to let them know, He can let them know for sure.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing we can say for sure. I mean, we can
Yeah, we need
hope.
to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, brother, I need to leave to pick up my son, but I actually had
Hmm.
also off-topic questions.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if there are any other questions about the verses that we have read today. If there are
Well, we're
not,
all
maybe we
off
can.
topic right now, anyways.
Yeah. Oh,
Hmm.
anyways, yeah. Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
all. The verses that we have read, like, and the
Uh
things
huh.
that we have spoken about, these are all related to each other. So I don't really think it
Hmm.
was off topic. But
Okay.
I had the question about the mut'a. It's called the mut'a, remember? The
Muta,
mut'a marriage. Yeah,
the
mut'a. They
marriage.
call
Yeah,
it the mut'a marriage.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So can
Yeah.
we maybe
Muta.
give some summary, some
Are
information
you
about
planning to
that
do that?
part? How we? No, not me.
Just kidding.
I don't I don't need to.
Okay, okay. I was just wondering, like, you when I asked about it. So.
Yeah, if it's not prohibited. Uh, like prostitution, man. Like, oh, it's so worse. Mm.
Right, right. So, what's your question? I'm just curious now. Um.
Yeah, okay. So I
Mhm.
had this Shiite friend of mine
Mhm.
before I became a submitter, and like we discussed this topic many years ago, and they still believe that muta is like in Iran, they do it still, right? They still have it. It's
Mhm.
they have
Yeah.
made also documentaries about it, etc. And then,
Mhm.
saying that it is allowed
Right.
and it's in the Quran.
Mhm.
So maybe we can clarify that is basically prostitution and not
Mhm.
nothing to do with submission, but
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah. I mean,
clarify
the
about
laws
that
of
topic.
marriage are very clear in the Quran, right? I mean, God says. We know also about polygamy, for example. I think this is not related to polygamy, but most people doing that it's a kind of a polygamous thing that they're doing on the side, you know. Nevertheless, I mean, people want to commit prostitution, they do this to kind of like a legal prostitution, because it may be prohibited in certain countries, to have sex with someone outside of marriage. And they find this because there's no other reason to do that, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense from any angle, right? So, I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah, the
prost-
examples that they gave was this
you ju-
happened, like, of course, it's not from the Quran, but in wartime when the men they went for war, so they were not with their families and their wives for a very long time. So in the area where they did war, in the villages or the cities, they would find these women to do like the muta
yeah, but I mean,
marriage for a specific
yeah, but
time of
even
period, and then
right. Sorry to cut you off, but I mean,
no problem.
we don't need to, like those are just like, anybody can like make all these cases, right? And let's just go by what the Quran says, right?
Hmm.
The Quran says marriage for marriage, there's a requirement, which is one of the requirements is love. You know, when
Hmm.
when when you don't love someone, which you can't in this case, because you don't
Hmm.
even know the person.
You
There's
need to know
no,
the person,
it
yes.
doesn't fulfill the requirements of marriage. You
Yes,
know,
very good point, brother. MashaAllah.
yeah.
Yeah, so how
If
are you
you know
going to
for a
marry
fact that
that
you're gonna leave
person?
this person tomorrow, I mean, how can you say that you love this person? You're marrying them for the sake of
Hmm.
sleeping with them and then divorcing them. You know, the
Yeah,
next day or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so that's just prostitution.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yes. Thank you, brother, for the clarification.
Yeah, now you go. Your son's waiting for you.
Now I go. Now, now I
He's
have
been
all the
waiting.
information I need. You did a great job, my friend. So I need to go now, okay? I have
Mhm.
job to do.
All right, mashallah. Thank you, brother, for leading the study, mashallah.
Yeah,
Um,
mashallah, brother. It was very nice.
so, yeah. I guess if nobody else has any other questions, God willing, we can conclude the study too. So, thank you again, Brother Jaffer, and thank you all for participating. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
God
God
bless. Thank
bless
you
you
for everything.
all.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Assalamu